Regina Queen, uplifting women in all walks of life. Hope everyone is having a beautiful day. Life is beautiful. Life is what we make of it. Today I have here with me Melissa. Melissa is a victim of domestic violence and a victim of a serial of abuse. Melissa is here to spread awareness for domestic violence and to be an inspiration in many lives. Thank you so much, Melissa, for being here on the Regina Queen Show. How are you doing?
You, I'm good, and you're welcome.
Good. I am so happy to have you here with me.
And I'm happy to be here.
It is an honor and a blessing to have you here with me today.
And I thank you for that, and I thank God for it as well.
Yes. And we are queens. We are here to encourage and inspire and uplift women that are encountering a serial of abuse, and for women who are giving up on hope, and to let you all know that there is a better tomorrow. There is life after the pain, and we all have a purpose. We all have a purpose to be here. And we are in our purpose today, right now. We are here in our purpose to uplift every woman who is encountering a serial of abuse. And Melissa, I would love for you to share some of your story here to be an inspiration for women. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to start sharing the domestic violence part in my life of total of 3 years. I wouldn't say I went out with this guy. It's just he came into my life through one of my uncle's funeral, and family came to stay over everybody else's house so they can go to the services. And so him and some of his friends was one of the ones that stayed at my house. So after the service and everything was over and everybody went back home and to their destination, he never left. So I was like, oh, well, maybe he has the time to go. So I'm not going to say anything. So when he stayed 2 or 3 days later, so I asked him, when was he leaving? He said he wasn't. I'm like, what do you mean? And at that point, he socked me in my eye. It's like, oh my God. And so he just started to beat on me really terrible, to the fact that while he was beating me, he would tell me that he would kill my parents. And, he was really close around my parents. And so he told me if I told anyone that he will also kill my parents. So that's what he had over me, to stay in that relationship that long. Because eventually he moved me right across the street from my parents. And when he moved me across the street from my parents, he, in the inside of our house, he boarded up all the windows. We still had our curtains and everything up, but if you came in, you wouldn't know the windows was boarded up and things like that. And I could never say anything about that. Because as soon as they left, he would just beat me. I don't know, he was some kind of brainiac maniac or whatever. I don't know. But I'm trying to say is, you never know who people are. So we all must be careful who we entertain, who we invite into our lives, in our
Yes.
children's lives. Because I had 2 children at that moment, and I had to relocate them to go live with their grandmother for 3 years. I had one was 2 and one was 4. And so they was out of my life like 3 years because of the safety for their lives. And everybody had found out about this guy and why he was abusing me. One of my baby fathers called me and told me that he had murdered his baby mama in Los Angeles. So come to find out, that's why he never left, because he was really running from that situation, and he found the hideout. And so the person told me, if whenever I can get away from the guy, do so. But I could never get away from him because he would always threaten me with my parents. He would take me to the window while my father was under the hood, and he'd say, if you did this or if you did that, I would leave him under there. And I always had the fear that he was telling the truth because he was always almost beating me to death. In the process of that, I was pregnant, didn't know I was pregnant at the time till I was like 6 months. And he beated me the whole pregnancy.
Mm.
And then he will put certain things at the door. He went to get a job with my father so he could get really close to my father. And he put certain things at the door and the windows to see if I looked out the window or left out the house or certain things like that. And I would never do so because I will always, be thinking about my parents. So I was like really his prisoner. So
Hmm.
I just started really praying really hard. And I went through that for about 3 years. And so almost the end of the 3 years, she had this other baby mama live in Los Angeles. So he took me out there one day and he went and got the baby. The baby was not even 1 year old. And he brought the baby back. I'm thinking it was a visit or whatever. So he bring the baby back with us, and when we get in the house, he told me I better act like this was my baby, and the baby better not cry when he's around or anything like that, unless you're gonna get it. So the baby always cried because I wasn't his parents, I wasn't his mother, so the baby always cried. So he beat me every day, all day. He will fill up the bathtub all the way up to the water to the top, and he would beat me from the living room and he would drag me. I'm like 8 months pregnant at this point. He would drag me to that tub and he would dump me in that water till I just couldn't breathe. And then he would get me out of there and he'd drag me back and he'd sit on top of me, 8 months pregnant, and he would just grab my head and he'd just beat it to the ground. And he would be talking to me and telling me, if you did this. And I mean, he was just an angry person. The anger was just beyond a person. So
Yeah,
we really must be careful who we entertain. So
exactly.
after he did all that, he would beat me to the bedroom, beat me into the bed. And now he wants me to make love to him. And I
Mm.
better act like I do love him, bloody and everything. So my solid cry was to the Lord. And I told the Lord I just couldn't take it anymore. And so I would sit and I would think, how can I kill him without getting in trouble or leaving my kids? I couldn't tell my parents them anything. I couldn't even go across the street. They was aware, but I guess they was trying to figure out how to work it out, without them going to prison or whatever.
Right.
And so one day, um, the baby mama called me and she was telling me that he had kidnapped the baby. And I would hang up the phone because he would not allow me on the phone. And so she kept calling and calling and calling. So one day he took the phone out of the house. And one day I got the courage enough to leave and go get a phone and bring it in and hide it. And so when he left, I would put it back in because at that point I was ready to just do anything just to get out of it. It didn't matter at that moment, what was about to happen. I just needed to get out of the domestic violence.
Right.
And
Exactly.
so,
You know what I
go,
wanted to ask you? I didn't mean to cut you off,
no,
but I
go ahead.
wanted to ask you, you said that he forced you to be in the relationship with him and he threatened to kill your parents.
Yes, yes, my mother and my father.
How
Yeah,
long was you forced to be in the relationship with him?
3 years.
And when he threatened to kill your parents, did you bring that to anyone's attention?
No, because no one never seen me. I never could go anywhere, go outside, or if anyone came over, he would go outside and entertain them in the yard. But I had to always stay in the house. Then
So this,
after the, go ahead.
oh no, no, go ahead.
So, after the company leave, I was going to get beat because I know he had some kind of mental problem because he would be like, you told him to come over here. You told him to come and check things out, different stuff like that. And I have not even seen or talked to anyone because I was too afraid to even move out, go out of the apartment. So, I
So,
was not able to tell anyone really what was going on inside the home. Um, Then they figured it out one day. He came and he threw the whole TV out the window while my dad was out there, doing mechanic work. And so after that happened, he did go to jail. He went to jail. Then he got out, he got out, he came back home. And then that's when it really got really, really bad. And he was like, I can't stand your dad. People don't call the police on me. What we do to the people that calls the police in Los Angeles and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh Lord, it just was a ongoing domestic violence drama situation. And so like I said, I finally got the phone in the house, and I finally was able to talk to the other baby mama. And she kept calling me and said, yeah, when he started whooping it on you, you're going to see that you really ain't got anybody. You really ain't got nothing and things like that. And so she would give me 3 or 4 phone calls saying that. And I said, the next time she called, I'm just going to tell her what's really going on so I
Mhm.
can, get some kind of help out of that. So I did tell her, and she said, oh, don't worry about it. She said, I figured it was, but I didn't really know. And she apologized to me and everything. And so the next thing I knew, the next following week or whatever, the FBI was at my house and looking for him. Said he, was in an incident in Bakersfield, and they needed a statement from him. And then I told him, I said, well, he's at work. He was like, no, we've been at his job, which him and my dad work together at the moment. We've been to the job, and he's not there, so we figured he came home for lunch. I was like, no. So later that day, my dad came, and he finally came over. And he said they got him. And I was like, what happened? He was like, they got him for murder in the first degree. And I was like, wow, okay. And I just took a big old breath. And the next day I went into labor and had his child.
Wow. 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 Um, so you lived a life of imprisonment
Hmm.
with your perpetrator,
Yes.
your abuser.
Yes.
And I know that was very, very painful for you,
Very much painful.
what you had to go through. Very
Yes.
painful. And you said you got warnings from the baby's mother. Was he in a relationship with her while he was in a relationship with you at the same time? Did he encounter two relationships?
Well, well, I found out he was in a relationship when he left Los Angeles with her, and he never went back. He never went back till like the 2.5 year later when he went and kidnapped the baby.
Okay. And how long were they in a relationship?
You know what? I don't know because I didn't know anything about her until he went and kidnapped the baby.
Okay. And
But
then, okay. Okay.
but I
Hmm.
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, no, go ahead.
But down some time I found out that he was in the relationship with her when he murdered his first baby mama, the one he was arrested for.
Hmm.
So um so they had to be in a relationship about I don't know how long because when he came here, he never went back there
Yeah.
until the FBI took him back. So that was like 3 years later.
Okay. So the baby mother who he murdered is not, is she the one that, wait, it's two, he had two girlfriends, right? Besides you.
Yeah. Yes, two
Okay.
baby mama.
So
Yes.
he murdered one,
Yes, his first baby mother. Yes.
and then the second one, he kidnapped the baby from her.
Yes.
And
Yes.
she's the one that called you to warn you about him.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Wow. Story. This is a story. I am so, so happy that you came out alive because that could have been you too as well. And to live a life of imprisonment, oh my gosh. I would like to ask you, after coming out of, it's just, I'm sorry. I'm sorry because your story is really heartbreaking for me. It's really heartbreaking. And this is a true domestic violence.
Yes.
that you encountered
Yes.
to be held against your will. It's just like snatching all your human rights from
Right.
you. And you did that. You you had to suffer and not say anything to keep your parents safe.
Right.
You're amazing. You are a hero for your parents that you took that abuse to save your parents. He murdered his baby's mother. He would have murdered your parents as well.
Yes. Yes, I know that.
You are a hero. You are really a hero. You saved your parents' life. And it's sad that you had to take that abuse to do so. But sometimes in life we have to do what we have to do. And
Yes.
yes. So now you got pregnant by him.
Yes.
How did that turn out? And where are the children now? And how many children do you have with him?
One. Well, right when they arrested him, the next day I went in labor and had the son, and he never been in his life, um, because he was always in prison. And then when he got out of prison, the son was in prison, so they never was able to um, come together as father and son. And not just that, my son, he was really angry at his dad because he knew the story, you know. And long after that, they both eventually was out of prison, and that's when me and my perpetrator had made peace, because I was really afraid of him. And when he was in prison, he called me and he apologized for everything. He spoke of everything he done to me, and everything he spoke of, he apologized for it. And he said he knew he was wrong. He didn't know really what was going on with him, but he promised me he would never do it again. He never made me a promise ever. So he asked me would I forgive him, and that he'll never ever touch me again. And so I told him that I would forgive him, and I just left it in God's hand and trust what the Lord was going to do in this situation, because he was still friends with a lot of my family members. So
Mm.
I know that he was still going to be around me in my family, because we was a family where in the city we live in, we always not far apart from each other, and we always coming together. So, and that's what when he got out, that's what exactly happened. He was really a friend to my uncle, which my uncle and them, they really didn't know what I was going through, because like I said, I had to couldn't tell anyone, you know. And so when he got out, the first day he got out, my uncle brought him to my house. And I was married at the time. My husband wasn't around. And I just had my fourth baby. He was about 2 weeks old. And when I opened the door, it was him and my uncle. And I just got this big old knot in my throat. Like, I thought I would never, ever get to see this face again, because when they arrested him, we thought he would be gone forever. But they only gave him
Yeah.
3 years on that.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, come in. Because I knew not to make him angry. You know, I knew not to do that. So I'm like, I know I invited him in and everything. And so they stayed over for like 45 minutes. And he was able to see his son then. His son was about 3 years old, because he only did like 3 years in prison. And so he stayed with my uncle for about a year here in Bakersfield. And in that year, um, we became very acquainted with each other. He was still apologizing to me, and he had um, really started to turn his demeanor around towards me, as he
Mm.
was really sorry about what he did. He
Wow.
started to ask me to pray for him and things like that, and I did, and I still do. And the child that he kidnapped, just a few years, he reached out to me. which he's in prison right now, and he said he can't wait to get out so he could come and meet me. And so I'm excited to meet him because we stay in contact with each other on Messenger. And so
Wow.
me and him is very excited to meet each other again as adults. He's about 33 or 37 years old. And
Wow.
that was the baby that I had that play like that. I was his mother. Yes.
Wow. Wow. So the baby, um, that child is the child who he kidnapped.
Yes. Yes.
How old is the child now? How
I
old is
think
he?
he's
He's in
33 or 37.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the the abuser, the father of the child, and he begged you for forgiveness,
Yes.
and you forgave him.
Yes.
And what was the relationship after? What was the relationship like after you forgave him?
Well, when I would see him and he would be with family, whatever, he would speak to me. I would speak to him, and um, we'd just go on. He like if we was at a family house or a party or gathering or whatever. It really wasn't a relationship, but it wasn't where we was best friends either. I always kept my distance because I knew what type of person he could be,
Mhm.
and so I always kept it. Hi, how you doing? Things like that. I
Mhm.
never. He started to ask me to go out with him and things like that. I'd always told him no. I don't think that's a good idea. You know. He always said it'd be different this time. I'm good. He said it's like, well, I can respect that. I can respect that. And so he respected that. And then when he finally got ready to move to out of state, he told me that he was moving out of state, he was going back home, and that he wasn't coming back to California, and he just stayed around to make that peace with me.
Okay. But you kept it at a distance pretty much.
Oh yeah, long distance. Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
The, once he was released, you said that he was released after doing 3 years, right?
Yes,
Okay. Once he was released, he came to your house and knocked on your door,
with
right?
my uncle. Yes, with my uncle. Yes.
You said, but did you say you didn't know he was being released before
Oh
he?
no, no. I
So
didn't
that was
know he.
so that
Mm-mm.
was a surprise to you, right?
Yeah, yes, a big surprise.
Wow. Wow.
Yes,
Wow. And when he knocked at that door and you knew he was at that door, did that terrify you?
yes, they did. Yeah.
Was you afraid?
It just took me back to, is this where we're gonna resume at? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Were you afraid to open the door?
Well, when they knocked on the door, my uncle answered the door. Like, I was like, "Who
Okay.
is it?" My uncle said, "My uncle," and he said his name, and I opened the door because I'm thinking it's my uncle.
Hmm.
But which it was my uncle, but it was him too.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I want to know, like, because that was a serial of abuse that you've been through with him repeatedly, and then knowing that he just get 3 years after murdering his baby's mother, kidnapping another son, and then he came back to you and knocking at that door, you were terrified, but the moment that you guys embraced each other, did you have a sense of letting go of the harm that he did and to bring peace into the relationship? How did you come to feeling the moment you guys embraced each other after opening up the door?
Well, I always pray to the Lord about the situation and about when he does get out, I always told the Lord, you are my protector. I'm dependent on you. I'm going to do what you say. I'm going to forgive. And I'm going to trust you that you spare my life through this situation. And whatever your will is, then let it be done. So I already had forgiven him without him even asking me. And so when he asked me, I was already assured to say, yeah, I forgive you, because I already had went through the emotions of letting go and forgiving him and crying through the night hours in that forgiveness to heal, to let it all out, because I had so much in, because I could never let it out. And I already had done that process with the Lord before he even stepped to me. So when God did brought him into my presence, I was already prepared to forgive him verbally, because spiritually I already had made the steps.
Okay. So you had already prepared to forgive your enemies,
Yes,
right?
yes,
And I am a firm believer too in, let God be the judge.
right,
And you did what you had to do, and you did
yes,
what your heart led you to do.
yes,
Um, may God bless you. Yeah, may God bless you for that.
yes.
And so now the boys, the son, and your son, how is the relationship going with his sons?
Okay, right now both of the boys are in prison. And my baby told me that his brother, he didn't know if it was his brother or not, but somebody sent him a letter and it had this name on it. And he said, Mom, I think it's my brother, but I don't really know the name. Check it out for me.
Mhm.
So I said, okay.
Can I break?
So,
Sorry, Melissa. Can we break for a couple of seconds,
yes,
a couple of minutes, maybe like
yes.
2 minutes? Let's go to break for like 2 minutes.
Okay.
We're going to go to break, everyone, and please stay tuned. We're back live, everyone. Regina Queen Show, continuing with Melissa. Okay, Melissa, we can carry on from the boys' relationship with their father.
Okay. Okay. So my son, he told me to look into it to see was that his brother that sent him the letter in prison. And so I did, and it was him. And that was the only connection that they had ever had with each other. Um, I talked to the son, the one that he kidnapped, more than I talked to my son, because my son can't call me like that, but his son can do so. So he calls me and we talk, and he asked me to pray for him and different things like that. And me and him, we're building a little relationship, friendship, as of um, two people that um, have to endure such tragedy, such horrible, such violence in our lives, and how he had to, um, he was fairly young, but he did see a lot, you know.
Hmm.
And when he got older, he did remember because he found me. I didn't find him. And he started asking me all different questions, and that he felt something between me and him when he was looking at my page and stuff. And then that's how he reached out to me. And he said he couldn't go beyond that page for some reason. And then it come to find out that I had a story for him. And I told him that, I used to keep him. Um, I told him when he get out, I would tell him the story, the all the story. And I told him that maybe that was the feeling that he had, that he had to reach out to me because we had a bond. And I told him I kept him safe, and he was with me for about 3 weeks of his baby life. I got him back to his mom. So he started to ask me a lot of questions, and I told him, I said, just wait till you get out, and when you come and see me, then I'll let you know the story, because I didn't want to let him know the story in there. He was incarcerated, so
Yeah.
I didn't want him to have to deal with that while he was locked up. So
Yes.
he still reach out to me every now and then. He'll text me and say, "Hey, Mom, how you doing? I'm praying. Hope you're still praying for me," and stuff like that. So I asked him what was his father, and no, I asked the other son, which the son to the deceased mother. He reaches out to me too, and he talks to me as well. And so I asked him what was his father, and he told me that his father was in prison for 25 to life. I
Mm.
didn't ask him, for what or whatever. I was like, oh, okay. So now me and all three of the sons, we have relationship and we communicate.
Oh, wow. That is beautiful. I can't say that that is bad. Children it asks, to be here, you know,
Right.
and yeah, and that is beautiful that he reached out to you and you embraced him with love and compassion, and God will bless you for that. And actually, he already have blessed you. You are,
Yes. Amen.
you are,
Amen.
you are blessed because you are still here
Yes.
and sharing your story on the Regina Queen show. And wow, you are so inspiring to me. Very
Thank you.
inspiring. And I could just imagine what you went through when you found out that he murdered his baby's mother. I know you were terrified. Did you
Oh, yes.
what I just want to know what came through your mind when you're sitting in this house, this room, just imprisonment, and he's threatened to kill your parents, and then you find out that he murdered his children's what mother wait no the girlfriend.
hmm
He murdered the girlfriend. You
No,
found out
he murdered his two children's mother.
his two children, yeah. Okay. He murdered them. I mean murdered her. And
Yes.
when you found out that he murdered her and you're being held against your will with fear and a terror of threats, what came across your mind when it was told to you that, well, he murdered his children's mother? What came across your mind? Like, I just want to know what came across your mind because I'm just putting myself, there in your shoes. And, I'm
First
not.
thing, the first thing came across was more fear. That was
Mm,
the first thing came across my mind. And as the days went by, I got really, really quiet in myself. I tipped it around the house, not to make him upset. He would ask me what's wrong with me, why I'm different, and he would beat me for that. just for that. Tell me the truth. What are you thinking about? If you're thinking about leaving me, he was just that. But I'm like, I didn't got another level of fear, because I know one day it seemed like he's going to kill me for what I'm already experiencing from him. And now I get the news that he killed his baby mama because she left him. And that's what he's telling me. I will kill your parents and you if you leave me. So I never had the thought to leave him because that was where the threat was. So I will always be, at that moment, I start to contemplate, how can I kill him and not go to prison?
Right.
Because at that moment I didn't have no police report of domestic violence, no self-defense, any kind of report to not allow me to go to prison. So
Right.
I'm thinking about my two babies that now not living with me at the time because of the situation, and I can't leave them and go to prison, so I'm like, so I'm thinking every day, how can I kill him without going to prison? And in that process, in that process, that's when the other baby mama came in, and things start to turn around from there, and he gets arrested.
Yeah. Okay.
So I thank God that I believe that was my way out from him, because in the midst of it all, I'm praying more than anything, you
Right.
know. I'm
Right.
talking to the Lord and telling him, you have to get me out of here. I don't want to kill anyone, So, um, and that was his way of getting me out,
You
through
didn't,
the
yeah, you didn't want to become what he is,
right,
a murderer.
right.
You did great. You did great. You did great. I mean, the crown is on. The crown, I can see the crown on you. The crown is on. You are queen,
Thank you.
mother of all civilization, a strong woman, a strong woman. And
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, your son, one you have with him, how do he feel about his father?
He tell me I hate him, and I'm saying, don't do that. Don't. No, I hate him. I'm always hate him. That's what he tells me. So at now, I don't know if he still hates him. You know, he's been. We don't talk about him when he do call me. We don't talk about him. Um, so I asked him one time, "Why do you hate him?" He said, "Because the way he did my mom. You know, the way he did you." I said, "Well, God deal with that." It's like, I don't feel the way you feel, Mom. you know, I'm
Yeah.
not there yet. I'm not
Yeah.
there yet. Maybe when I get there, I will, but I'm not there yet.
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
okay. So I pray for him too.
Right.
And because he has the image of his dad. The apple, like they say, don't roll too far from the tree. I am an open book. My life is an open book, and I'm going to speak truth. And it don't matter if they're my kids, my mother, I'm going to tell the truth of what it really is. And what I see in him, I see his dad. I
Right.
see his dad. So
Yes.
that's the truth. And and it's real, and that's how it is.
Right. So you see his dad in him, in your son.
Yes. In a relationship.
How do you feel about that?
Oh, I don't like that at all. Because I'm a believer, no man should touch a queen. If you have to beat on your woman, she's not your woman, and you're not her man. You just abuse her. You know, you
Exactly.
you 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 don't beat on your child that way, and you got authority to discipline them the way you should. So why would you try to discipline a grown person, male or female? Why would you try to do that? That's That's stepping over boundaries of life. That's putting authority over someone with fear. If they don't do what you like or say, I'm gonna beat you. No,
Right.
that's not right. No matter who's displaying it, it's not right.
Right. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's how I feel about that. I don't take a name or a face and put right or wrong on it. If the actions is right, it's right, and if the actions is wrong, it's wrong.
Right. So, did he ever get a chance to see his father abuse women, or he just hearing about it? But did he actually see?
No, just hearing about it.
Just hearing about it.
Just hearing about it.
Yeah, and they say, and it's true that DNA is no joke.
Hmm. Right.
DNA is no joke.
Right. That's why we have to be careful as women who we invite into our lives, who we choose to have our babies by and with, who we choose to share our kids' life with. Um, we have to be careful in those
Exactly.
areas.
Exactly. We have, and that is very important to what you said. Be careful who we have our children by, because we're raising that person all over again.
Right.
We're raising that person all over
Oh,
again.
right.
And, DNA is no joke.
It's all
No.
in the blood. It's all in the blood.
Yes.
Everything is in the blood.
Yes, because I have a lot of ways, like, my father, and my mother, and it's it's nothing we can really do about it, but accept it and deal with it,
Right.
because they are our children, and
Right.
no matter
Pray
what,
about pray about it.
pray
Yeah.
about it. No matter
Hmm.
what,
Yeah.
still love them, still love them.
In spite of.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, um, where is he at now
In
again?
prison.
No,
He's in
the
prison.
the abuser, the father.
He's in prison too.
Oh, he's in prison. Okay, okay,
He got life in prison.
okay. And your son is in prison.
He has life in prison as well.
What about the kidnapped son?
He's in prison too.
All three are in prison.
In prison.
And right now, today, do you stay in contact with all three?
Yeah. No, not the perpetrator, but the three sons, yes.
Just the three sons?
Yes.
Okay, 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 okay. And you will always and will forever and continue to be in my prayers
Thank you.
through all your endeavors, always.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask you, um, you said he kidnapped his son from the baby's mother. Do you know where she is now? Do you guys speak, after
Mm.
she reached out to you, letting you know what he did, and and everything, and after she reached out to you?
No. The last time I spoke to her is when I released to her and I said, if it take me to take my last breath, I'm gonna get your baby to you. I'm gonna get your baby to you. I don't care what I have to do to do so, but I'm gonna get your baby to you. And she said, okay. And surprisingly, that particular day, he came home and said, we're taking the baby back. And that was a big relief because now I've got
Yeah.
to figure out what I just told her to
Yes.
get her baby to her. And so, but she said, okay. She said, when you get my baby to me, I'm going to fix him. I'm going to fix him. And that was the last thing I ever heard from her. And we took that baby home that particular day, and I didn't hear from her no more at all.
The greatest thing is she did get her baby back.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, because I was fearing for the baby life as well as mine. Um, because he was abusing the baby too, checking him out. Because the baby's screaming,
Hmm.
um, 24 hours a day, the baby's screaming. He's not sleeping.
Did
I'm
he
not his parent.
did he
I'm
beat
not.
did
Go
he
ahead.
beat the baby?
He didn't physically like beat the baby, but he'd grab the baby by the arm and throw the baby in the bed. More verbally abused than physical. But he wouldn't grab the baby with compassion or anything like that. You
Hmm.
know, um, and he would what everything he would do. He would always say, "And these bitch think I'm playing with them." He
Hmm.
just had a seemed like a complex over women or something. I don't know,
Yes.
but
He was
um,
beyond a narcissist.
yes. So I was
So
like, he's gonna kill this baby. Oh my God, I can't let him kill this baby, because the way he would handle him. And like that's when I really, at that moment, I really not gave up, but gave up the weakness of I better stay in this corner. Because now I have to defend this baby. If it took my life to defend the baby, I was going to do that. I had made up my mind to
yes,
do that. That's why I had told her,
yes,
if it take my last breath, I'm going to get your baby to you because I know how you feel.
yes,
And she didn't have no idea until I really just started telling her. She was like, "Don't worry, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to fix him, but I'm going to help you. Don't worry. Just get the baby back to me." Yeah, and she was like, "Just tell me where you live." I was like, I can't tell you where I live. We had to do it some other kind of way. But fortunately, that day he came home from work, he said we was taking the baby back, and we took the baby back. And when
yes.
we took the baby back, I stayed in the car. He beated her in the house, but he beated her.
So when you guys took the baby back, he went inside and he beat
Mhm.
her.
Mhm. Yeah.
Did you hear her screaming?
Oh yeah. Oh
What did he
yeah.
say to you when he came outside? And
When he came outside, he got in the car and he just bust me in my eye and he said, "You better not say nothing."
so he not only said something, he hit you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He was just very violent,
Oh,
no matter like
yeah, he's
like he
very abusive, very abusive. And I would like to ask you, um, during the time that he was holding you in fear, and against your will, and what type of abuse, like I know it's different types, like physical, mental, and verbal. And I would like to ask you, did he feed you? Like, were you eating?
yeah, I had to cook 3 times a day. I had to be the wife.
Okay, so
But
you wasn't malnutrition or
oh no.
starving
Mm-mm.
for
I
hunger, or okay.
I ate when my body allowed me to because when you're going through you don't feel like eating, but I ate enough to make sure that I stayed strong in my health. Um I never had an appetite, but I still ate on things.
Hmm.
I ate on things in the house where I won't be sick because of the food. I needed my strength. I knew that. And so the type of abuse he would do, like I said, he will first sit on me. I'm 8 months pregnant, 9 months pregnant. He would sit on me on the ground, on the floor, on my stomach, and grab my head and beat my head to the floor, beat me with his hand, with his fist in my face. He would do that. He would drag me all over the house to the restroom, dump my face because it's bloody. So he would always run. When he ran bath water, I knew it was on. You
Mm.
know, I know he was coming to
So
get me. I
so
knew that.
when you said when he run bath water,
Yes, yes, because he would
you
run the
knew
bath water,
you knew it
and
was
it.
time for a beating.
Yes, yes, and he took all the utensils out the house, anything that can harm you. It was not in my home at all. No knives, nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. So um, for Wow, that's horrible.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
horrible.
so he had his different ways of abusing me. He would get the phone card. Back then we had the little uh, clear kind of beige phone, uh, silver phone cards. I'll go on the phones. He would tie my hands up in front of me with the card, and he would tie my hands up.
He tied your hands up with the telephone
Phone,
cord.
yes, with the telephone card. And while he would say, "I bet you won't be calling nobody this time," you know, because
Hmm.
he had the card and he tied my hands up with it. And I will always be just sitting on the couch when he do that. And he'll just tie my hands up,
Hmm.
and he'll go, he'll leave, and like he ain't never did anything. Come back, my hands all swollen and numb. He was like, "Oh, I hope that taught you a lesson." I'm like, "Wow," So,
Did
but
he?
I
Did
I believe he tied my hands up so I wouldn't been able to try to get out the house.
yeah? Because they know, you know, we can use our hands to get help.
Right,
We can set
right,
ourselves free,
yeah,
and we can fight back. So,
right. So,
without them hands and use of the hands, yeah,
hmm,
it would tie you up. And
yeah.
I would like to ask you too, did he sexually abuse you against your will?
The whole time we was together, he did that. Um, the very first time, I got pregnant with my son against my will, and he will beat me first before every time. I would have
Repeatedly?
repeatedly every time when we had intercourse, he beats me first. It was something that he had to do, I guess. I don't know, a freak or whatever, but he would beat me first, and he will beat me to the bed, and he would interact, and he want me to interact, and if I didn't interact, he'd get up and he'll beat me again for not interacting. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So then I got pregnant. I didn't, like I said, I didn't know I was pregnant until I was like 6 months because I couldn't go to the doctors. I was already getting abused, so my nerves was already everywhere, so my
Right.
hormones was everywhere. So
Right.
I didn't know what was going on. I just know I had to save our lives. And then he used
Yes.
to say, and then he really used to tell me, "You think I don't know where your kid's at? You think I don't know where your kid's at?" He used to tell me that. So that really made me um, stay in prison with him, because he was the one able to leave, and my kids wasn't with me. And every time he left, I was so afraid that he would go over there, and get my kids or whatever. And so he didn't do that to them. He left them alone, and they didn't have to never endure any of his violence.
Yeah. He's a violent, very violent man, a psychopath. Um, you know, at that time, I don't, I can't say it was. I'm not here to judge anyone what they're, going through or doing right now, but from that day and time of your abuse, you know, that was, psychotic, you
Yes,
know, moves that he was making on you. And I say it again, I'm so happy that you are out of that abusive torment, horror relationship.
yes,
Thank God that He brought you out of that. And just to know that, your children too are incarcerated too at the same time. And, that is a lot, for you to take on. And what you did, you embraced everyone with love and compassion. And that brought some peace into your life. Because
yes,
looking at you right now, I can see that you are at peace.
yes,
And you needed that peace because you've been through
yes,
so much.
yes,
so much torment in your life. So you
Yes.
are at peace.
Yes, I am.
The beautiful smile, your face is so calm,
Yes.
you know, your vibes is just so peaceful and loving, and God has really, really intervened in your life.
Yes.
Took over.
Yes. Yes, he has. Yes, he has.
He really did.
All glory to God.
Yes. Yes. He really have. And your story is amazing. And I would like to ask you, um, what measurements did you take after coming out of all of this violence and dealing with the children, being arrested and incarcerated, and for you to, you know, be a blessing in your life and other people's lives? What measurements did you take, like, self-care, like what were your hobbies to keep you focused and happy?
Well, the first thing I did was I got in contact with myself and God. That's the first thing. I wanted to know, who am I? What's my purpose? And the step that I took with that was prayer. Lots of it. Lots of prayer. Lots of forgiveness. I had to start with forgiving first myself and then others. Because we can easily go through something and start blaming ourselves. And maybe I deserve it, or maybe I did something to deserve it. You start to not see clear of who the other people is, because your study saying, well, maybe it's supposed to be this way. And then, but it's not your fault. It don't supposed to be that way. You don't have to forgive yourself for what someone else is doing to you, you know. And so I always told myself, after coming out of so many things in life and so many trials and tribulations in my life, after coming out, I always told myself I would not give up. I would not give up, and I will continue to strive for greatness, whatever that greatness is that God put in me, because I have survived so many things and so much and so little time of 53 years of my life. And that's a little time, 53 years, Um, I made it out. I'm an overcomer, just like the word of God says. And when I look at that word that he tells us that we are overcomers, I put myself into that word. And by me putting myself into the word that I'm an overcomer, it's like you're going to the army and you have to do the steps. You have to exercise in the steps. You have to, if you're running track, you have to go to practice. So um, when I put myself into them steps, I took love with me, because I had so much to hate for. But I decided I don't want to hate, because that's what I've seen in a lot of other people in all of my demises in my life. And that particular emotion, action word, drives some people beyond evil, beyond evil. And I always said, well, I want to be different. I want to do it different. I don't want to do evil for evil. Now, when I was growing up, I fought all the time. I was mad. I was molested. I was raped. But we'll get into those stories some other time. And I was mad, in life, because I had to be silent in that as well. So as growing up, I seemed like I never had a voice. And when I did spoke, my speaking was a lie when it was always the truth.
Right.
So I always shut myself in and hold it so much, and I released it all to God, because I knew He knew all about it, and I knew He knew the truth. And so I really, the biggest step that I took in going through all that was the closest step to God. Because I already put into myself that man will fail you. Man will uh, perpetrate like they someone else when they someone else.
Right.
Man would deceive you.
Right.
Man would lie to you. He would
Right.
promise you, and he would break those promises. And
Right.
I learned all that through my experiences.
Hmm.
Not by them telling me and not coming true, but by my experiences. Here's the people that supposed to love you, saying they love you, but their actions are showing you different,
Right.
and I knew something was really wrong with that picture. And I said I would never want to be that person. And when I got in contact with myself, why when I was growing up, why was I fighting a lot? Because I was seemed like I was going to become one of those people if I didn't reflect back on who I really am. And I knew God didn't create me like that in my heart. I knew the
Yes.
way I was out there in the streets doing what I was doing because I was an angry person, you
Right.
know.
And
And, and
there's a story behind situations, things that we go through in life. Far as some people fall homeless. There's a reason behind that person being homeless, and so you know circumstances.
yeah,
So
yeah. And so I started to turn back into myself to find out who I am. And in doing that, it allowed me to get a lot of people out of my life because those are the people that I didn't want to become.
rebuilding
And
yourself up from
yes,
scratch.
yes, yes. And so I found God and I found the love of God in Him. And that's what I wanted to receive from Him. And that's what I wanted to display to His people. And those was the steps that I took. And I'm still walking in those steps today.
Yes, and you must continue.
Yes,
You must continue because you are an awesome woman of God, and you must continue. And I'm always here, to root for you, walk behind you, walk, side by side with you. And if there's anything, that I can, support, you with or help you with, I will always be here. And I am 100% for sure if I need the same thing from you that you will, support me too. And
yes, of
that's what
course.
the women empowerment is about. Empowered women empower each other. And
Yes,
yes, and
yes,
I would love to go into a part two with you of your story. And I would like for us to continue part two. And because I know part two is a very important story and an awareness that we need to spread. Um,
yes.
yes, it
It
needs
would
to
be
be
a
spread.
pleasure.
Yes, it needs to be spread. And please book another show, um, so we can continue part two. And your stories are just so amazing. And what the amazing part about it is you coming out of it, you know, and you are a warrior, and we have women today that are going through the same abuse right now,
Yes,
today,
yes,
as we speak.
yes,
And we need to continue to push domestic violence awareness and to be the voice for women who are encountering domestic violence. And God did not make us to be beat down, torn down by anyone. It is unfair to be treated in such a way. And I wouldn't even
yes,
say, you know, like just to be treated like an animal, you know, and even an animal shouldn't be treated in such a way.
right.
And it's not fair. And people need to reach out and get help. If you are encountering a domestic violence situation, please reach out and get help. Do not
Yes,
stay there. Leave before your abuser take your life.
yes,
There are so many resources here in the state of California. And I'm 100% for sure in other states as well. Domestic violence does not discriminate against anyone. And there are resources nationwide. And please, everyone, if you are encountering a domestic violence situation, we encourage you to reach out and get help. And if you know of anyone who is encountering a domestic violence situation, please reach out to that person with open arms and love and compassion, and
Yes.
try to help bring that person out of
Yes.
danger situation, a violent situation, in a safety manner.
Yes.
Please be safe. And I would like to thank you so much, Melissa. And would you like to say anything to our viewers? If you would like to spread a word before we go
Yes.
to, women are women, and we know men encounter domestic violence as well.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
we'd like to spread a message for
Yes.
men and women today.
Yes. I would want to say that first to those that's in encountering domestic violence. It's not your fault. Don't never let the situation have you thinking that it's okay and it's your fault. It's not your fault. Um, take the steps. Take the steps now because I was one that made it out, but I know a lot that didn't. So you take the steps so you can make it out. Don't sit back and weigh it out. No, you take the steps and work it out so you can make it out. Domestic violence is never okay in no form or fashion. Um, pray, pray, prayer. It don't change one thing. Prayer changes everything. Um, do your steps and do them carefully. You only know what type of situation that you're in. You only know what danger that you're in. We don't know. But when you have the opportunity to take that step and save your life. And that's what I will have to say to everybody that's going through a domestic violence situation.
Yes. Thank you, Melissa, for that message. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. You're
Thank
so
you so
welcome.
much. And my heart goes out to every woman who is encountering a domestic violence relationship. And Melissa here is proof that you can come out. You can come out. You have support, you have family, and don't ever feel alone. And to let you know that we are all not just going through this, we are growing through this.
Yes.
And we are
Yes.
together through this. And my heart goes out to everyone who is encountering a domestic, abusive relationship. Thank you so much, Melissa. And my heart goes out to you and your family.
Yes. And you're welcome.
Book that show. Let's get the spread some more awareness out. And thank you so much, Melissa, for being a guest here on the Regina Queen Show.
And you're so welcome. And it's my pleasure to come back again.
Yes, very much needed. Very much
Okay.
needed. We need your voice. We need your voice. And
Okay.
I would like to thank you all for being a part of the Regina Queen Show. And please tune in again with us live with Melissa coming soon. And everyone, have a beautiful, beautiful life.
And amen.
Goodbye, everyone.